The very latest news, reported and discussed. Welcome back to Montreal Now on CJAD 800.
To get the city's public consultation office cleaned up.
Well, the public consultation on it managed to elicit, I think, more than ever before in any public consultation in this city.
She's responsible for the consultation with boroughs and water.
The public consultations office funding was also frozen.
We're going to continue our consultation for this group of people.
The city held consultations to get input from seniors.
The main focus is to organize and do the public consultations.
To have a public consultation on the idea of holding a referendum.
And it's launched a series of consultations in the hopes of finding some solutions.
Isabelle Beaulieu said there were no rules or policies on claiming expenses at the public consultation office.
I just loved Bill Brownstein's column in the Gazette a few days ago, and he joins me now. Bill, how are you, sir?
Good, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing well. You were ailing a bit. You had the bug that's going around. How's your voice? How's your health?
The consultation bug, yes.
So this was a little mashup in your honor because this new thing, every year now, we have everybody coming up with the word of the year. And so I was very, very interested in what you had to say about what you think is our word of the year here in Montreal.
Yeah, like Collins went with AI, and Oxford went with Riz, which, did you know, was a riff on the word charisma.
I did not.
And I figured we had to come up with something as well. Merriam-Webster went with authentic, so I thought of something. It's actually a very hollow word, authentic. So I thought consultation, because consultation means absolutely near zero in this city.
Exactly.
And I pointed out there are two prime examples that, and you will recall very well, way back when in 2018, the consultation office here held the biggest ever consultation. 12,000 people responded, and the question at large, the question was basically, should we shut down the Camellia Hood portion of the Mount Royal Passageway? And they said, the head of the consultation committee at the time proposed to the Mayor Plante, that people were against this, and the mayor said, okay, well, I will then could not go ahead and shut down the passageway from the Camellia Hood portion. And sure enough, in September, she changed her mind. And it's very disheartening because, I mean, what is the point of consultation if everybody responds and basically the proposal is, well, nobody wants this, so you go ahead and do it anyway. But why? And I mean, the purpose of all of this in this instance was, to I think, curry her favor with her base.
Her base.
And, essentially she's pushing the idea of a green space, which is a wonderful idea in principle. But in so doing, she figures getting cars off that portion of Mount Royal will help. In fact, it will do just the opposite, because 50,000 cars will be going through Outremont and creating pollution problems, and green gas emissions will be even worse than they are at present. So it really serves no one. I mean, apart from the fact that it doesn't serve elderly people or families who are trying to go up to the mountain from the east side, it doesn't serve people who are visiting the cemeteries like Notre-Dame-des-Neiges, which means you have to do a detour if you're coming from the east, you have to go all the way around to access it. They had the Mount Royal Cemetery had a deal going back to 1928 where such a thing could not happen, that they would have to have full access. But, it doesn't mean anything anymore, because $91 million apparently will be spent on this to clean up and give a green space cut off half of the mountain road. And when you think about it, $91 million might be better spent on, say, public housing. But, that's a whole other matter. And, there's just so many, things that are wrong with this. I mean, if you really wanted to curb, like the whole raison d'etre for this was a biker was tragically killed when an American was doing a U-turn on that portion, and so they wanted to cut down on speeding cars. Well, that's a very noble thing, and I agree they should. But there's a way of doing that. We've got these photo radar cameras which can be mounted, and they can nip at that very easily in the bud. There's speed bumps and all the rest. I mean, do you really have to put so many people off? Like, they think, well, it's not about the car, like loving the car over the bike. It's about common sense. It's about helping the greater majority of people who want to have access to the mountain, and not just, pro bikers.
Bill, the left, when the left, generally speaking, was in the opposition, they would scream for consultation as a way to slow down projects they were against.
Right.
Now that the left has been in power in different levels of government, like in the city, now they say they consult just to say they have consulted. They don't feel that they have to follow the results of the consultation, even though it goes against their dogma.
So why do we have this office? Why do they have a budget?
Just to be able to say they did it.
So that they can buy fancy televisions
exactly.
for the office.
And oysters. And oysters.
And oysters, yeah. It is absolutely inane. I mean, when you think about it, why go through the motions? It's so phony. I mean, you can get rid of that part of the budget altogether. I mean, the consultation commission. And then on the other end, I pointed out in this piece, talking about consultation is a guy that we both know, Ziggy. He stumbled out of his bar one day, and he noticed that the parking meter had been changed from like 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock till 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
And having, I contacted the people in charge of Station Montreal, and they said, oh, no, that's not true. It's a mistake. And then, yes, in fact, it was going to be a done deal. We established later, and then they said, but we're not going to do anything until we consult with the local business community, because this is in the downtown area, which has been so hard hit, as you know, over the course of
still are hit.
Yeah, and
still
basically said, well, we'll consult with businesses. Well, sure enough, they put this in effect. The parking meter, basically they went up to 11 o'clock at night, and they said, well, we consulted, but we could find no one who had been consulted. I mean, so they throw around this word. It is the most meaningless word we've ever created.
It was more of an information than a consultation, I think, right?
Well, it's Glenn Kestner, the guy in charge of downtown business, Montreal, pointed out. I asked him if he'd been consulted. He said, no, we were informed of the decision.
There it is.
Never consulted.
Anyways, great stuff as always, Bill. Thank you so much for coming on. And preview your next column, because you're going to be joining us in the new year on January 2nd to talk about that column.
Well, we'll have something for you about the state of the art of our province and city and everything else. We'll talk to you about that then.
Looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Bill, for coming on.
Thank you.
All right. Bill Brownstein of the Gazette and also of the Corner Booth podcast.